Hi, this is Shawnee Daigle. I hope everyone is having a great day. I am the broker associate of Champions Realty Team powered by EXP. And today's show is going to be a little different. Normally, I have a guest on and I interview them and we talk about different things in real estate. But today, I wanted to do a show just by myself because I've been seeing a real need for people to be educated in the home buying process. I get a lot of people who call me and they say, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Or either people get into the process and then they make mistakes that they wouldn't have made if they knew more about it. So that's what I really want to dedicate today's show to. So starting off, should everyone be a homeowner? You'll hear people say everyone should buy a home. I'm not going to tell you that because there are some people that are not in a point in their life where they need to be a homeowner. There are some people that have real problems with budgeting their money. There's people that may move around a lot, and so they're not in one place very long, or for whatever reason. Is home ownership for everyone? It may not be, but I can tell you that it is the best way to build wealth and provide stability for you and your family. So let's get into it. The first place you need to start, I know a lot of people think, oh, my credit is really bad. Maybe I need to get a credit repair person or work on it myself, or I just think that I can't qualify for a house right now. And a lot of times that isn't the case. I've dealt with a lot of people who thought initially that they wanted to buy, but they weren't sure they were in a position to be able to qualify for a house. And to their surprise, they actually were. They were good to go. So the first place you want to start is get with a realtor that you really trust and that you know is knowledgeable on the process. And so with that realtor, you want to give them a call and say, hey, look, I'm interested in becoming a homeowner. And make sure your realtor has relationships. It's very important in this industry because you need a realtor who can refer you to a lender based on your situation, whether you're, let's say, you're a first responder or a teacher, you're looking for down payment assistance programs, or you're a veteran, you're looking for a VA lender. There's all different types of loans. And you need a realtor that can kind of point you in the right direction and to a lender that is a reputable lender and can get the job done. So if you need, let's say, some work on your credit, they may have lenders that work on credit for free. I know I do. I have lenders that will help you with your credit issues for free. I have lenders that are very good with down payment assistance and grant programs. I have lenders that are excellent with VA loans. So make sure they have those relationships and can point you in the right direction. The other thing is you don't want to work with multiple realtors. Now, I know some people think, okay, one realtor is good, two realtors is great. No, that's not the case. Or you can't secretly work with other agents. Reason being, number one, is because you'll probably get your realtors in trouble. By law, we are not allowed to work with a person if they are already working with a realtor. So it is a legal issue for us. And then number two, you have too many people involved and no one knows what's going on. It's going to end up being a problem. So make sure once you find a lender that you like and you're comfortable with, that you stick with that realtor. Okay. The other thing is you're going to start the pre-approval process. So when you're getting ready to do all of this, you want to make sure you have your affairs in order. Make sure that you kind of have an idea of what your credit score is. I can tell you right now, creditkarma.com is not accurate. If you want to get an accurate idea of what your credit score is, myfico.com is a wonderful resource. The credit scores are very accurate on there. They can give you your credit scores according to if you're looking for an auto loan, if you're looking for a mortgage, and also give you your credit reports. And then you can also go to my annual credit report, I believe it is, and they can also give you a free copy of your credit report and your scores. So try one of those two. The other thing I'll tell you is make sure you filed your taxes and that you have those accessible, because your lender is going to ask you for your previous year's tax returns. Make sure you have your bank statements, and also paycheck stubs or 1099s if you're self-employed. You want to make sure that you start getting those things together. It just makes the process go a little bit faster, because the lender is going to ask you for a number of things. Do not get frustrated. And it's not them just trying to be all up in your business, even though they are going to get all in your business. And the reason is because this is the largest purchase that a person will probably make in their life. So you have to think, if you were loaning someone hundreds of thousands of dollars, you would want to make sure that, they're able to pay you back. So they're going to ask you for documents that are, some of them are government required documents, and they may come back and ask you for documents that you've already submitted. So just work with them. They are trying to get you to home ownership. They're actually working for you. Okay. So make sure you try to make that process as easy as possible and respond to them like you should when they're asking you for documents. Okay. So the next thing is your home search. I tell everyone, kind of make a list of what your needs versus your wants are. Because if you're looking at existing homes, you're not going to find everything you want in an existing home. So you need to know what are things that you can live and things that you can live without. Okay. And then when you start your search, let your realtor know what these things are that's really important to you. Let them know what the things are that you can kind of live without and work around. Okay. Because they're going to set you up on an automatic search. And so on that automatic search, properties are going to start coming to your email. And then once you get those properties, you're going to write down either the MLS number or the address and let your realtor know, hey, these are the properties I'm interested in seeing. Now, I know a lot of people like to go to Zillow. A lot of people like to go to Trulia. I can tell you Zillow and Trulia do not update like our multiple listing system, or MLS as you've heard it called. What that is where realtors can access what properties are on the market, how long they've been on the market, information about the properties. That updates immediately. Zillow and Trulia, they actually pull a feed from our MLS. And so their information a lot of times is delayed. So the information you're seeing in there sometimes is wrong. The most accurate home search you're going to get is the one that your realtor sets you up on. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Now, if you see something on Realtor or Trulia or Zillow that you're interested in, you can always shoot over that MLS number or address to your realtor and say, hey, is this property really available or not? And then they can tell you from there. The other thing, while we're talking about Zillow and Trulia, is a lot of times they will give you a Z estimate for a house. Don't believe it. It's normally never right. Okay. So remember, I said their information does not update like our MLS does. So if they have wrong information, of course, it's going to populate wrong numbers. All right. So your realtor can provide comparative market analysis. And what that is looking at properties that have sold in the area that are similar to the house you're inquiring about, to give you an idea of what the market value of that house would be. Okay. And then the other thing you want to do is be realistic. If you're pre-qualified or pre-approved for $200,000, don't look at $400,000 houses. I mean, be realistic about where your budget is. Don't think that you're going to get a $400,000 house for $1,500 a month. It's not going to happen. So we always hear people talk about champagne taste with a beer budget. Yeah. And then your realtor may have to bring you back down to reality, because in today's market, properties are going, a lot of them, for over asking price. So you have to be aware of the market that you're entering when you're looking for a house, that there's a lot of competition out there. that whereas maybe 10 years ago you could shoot a lowball offer and get it accepted, that's not necessarily the case now. So just be realistic, and then make sure when your realtor is bringing you out to look at houses, that if it's, say, a couple, husband and wife, that both parties are there. Just make sure decision makers are there. So both of you are able to look at the house, get an idea of what you like, dislike, and a feel for it. All right. And then the next thing is, once you find a house you like, we need to talk about making an offer. So listening to the expert and not your friends and family. I know they think they know what's best for you, but they don't have any background or education in real estate. So why not let the professional that you trust and have hired to be your realtor, let them do their job. Um, a lot of times you're listening to friends and family members who've never even bought a house. So versus the realtor who not only has bought and sold multiple properties over the years, but also has the licensing to do so. That's the person that's going to give you the most accurate answers. All right. Um, and then the other thing is how the process works as far as making an offer. You can make an offer, and then it's going to be presented to the seller by the seller's agent, and a negotiation process is going to take place. So let's just say, for instance, there's a $200,000 house that you're very interested in. Okay, so your realtor is going to look at how long has this house been on the market. They're going to run comps on the house, so that they have an idea of where you all should be as far as making your offer. Let's say you also need closing cost assistance, or you're looking for a home warranty. So when we put together the offer, we're going to consider all of those things, okay? And then we submit the offer. Let's say they're asking 200,000. We submit the offer for 190, okay? And ask for a home warranty and seller paid title. The sellers may come back and say, no, we're not going to accept that. We want at least 195, and we're not going to pay for a home warranty. We'll pay title policy, but not a home warranty. So these are items that we're going to negotiate back and forth until we reach an agreement. Now, the seller can counter your offer, which means they come back with their other offer. They can just simply decline your offer, or they can accept your offer as is. Now, a lot of times people need to understand that if you present a really lowball offer, or you're asking for too much, especially in today's market, sometimes sellers won't even respond. And you don't want to go in basically insulting people, because if you insult someone with your first offer, they're less likely to negotiate with you. Or when you do finally get them to respond, they're going to play hardball because they feel like you aren't really serious. So I always tell people, put your best foot forward, especially in a competitive market. You want to make sure if you're serious about the house, then you need to make sure you have a strong offer to back that up. Okay. The other thing is, like I said, sometimes people have the misconception that they can get into a house for free. That is not the case. If you watched my previous video with Robert Lewis, we kind of touched on this. You need to make sure that you do have some money saved, because you're going to need to pay earnest money. Earnest money is what secures your contract. It's normally 1% of the price. You're going to need to pay option fee. An option fee gives you an option period. This is a set number of days that gives you time to have your inspections done on the house. And then if you choose to back out for any reason within that option period or number of days, then you can get your earnest money back. Now, the earnest money and the option fee are both refunded at closing. So at closing, you will get credited back on the settlement statement for those two amounts, but you do need to have that money upfront initially if your offer is accepted. The other thing is you're going to have to pay for a home inspection. You're also going to have to pay for an appraisal. So you do need to have some money saved up, as well as with your lender, they're going to want to see what they call reserves, that you have so much money in the bank for to cover your note for so many months. Okay. So if you're bad with budgeting, if you have absolutely no money to your name, then you probably need to wait and build up, your savings a little bit and get in a better position to be able to buy. All right. The next thing is, you're also, when you're looking at houses, you're going to review what's called a seller's disclosure. A seller's disclosure is where the seller is going to go through and check off facts about the house and tell you different things about the house. If something is not functioning properly in the house, it's going to be on the seller's disclosure notice. So make sure you're reviewing that for the house that you're interested in. It's going to be one of the documents that actually, when you make the offer or go under contract, you're going to sign off on the seller's disclosure. You'll initial every page and sign at the end. Now, let's talk about more when your offer gets accepted. Like I said, you'll put up your earnest money and your option fee, okay? And then your loan will go into underwriting with the lender, which means the lender will just start doing all of their back end checking and verification. They'll start asking you for some of the documents we talked about earlier, your financial documents, making sure that you have your tax returns, your bank statements, all of that. They may look, after looking at your credit, ask you for explanation letters on any accounts or negative things on your credit report. So just make sure that you're ready for that and that you stay on top of it when they're asking you for it. And then let's talk about some of the things not to do once you're under contract. Please, for the love of God, do not go and buy a car once you have applied for a mortgage. Don't change jobs, okay? Don't go and get married. Story time. I had 2 clients, great clients. We get all the way to the end, to the closing table. And it was a Monday, I will never forget, Monday morning. And they go, we're waiting for the escrow agent that's going to close us to come in. And they go, look, we got married over the weekend. Congratulations, but that means we won't be closing today. And they were like, what? What did we do? Look, when you're getting a loan, you can't make major changes like that because it changes the details of your loan. So did we eventually close? Yes, we did. But we didn't close that day. I had to go back to the lender and say, they got married over the weekend. So now this kind of changes everything. So the lender had to redo some things, send it back into underwriting, and get approval again. Also, don't go furniture shopping and run up your credit cards, because people think, well, they pulled my credit in the beginning, they're not going to pull my credit again. Yes, they are. Underwriting pulls your credit right before you go to closing. And so, because they want to make sure that nothing has changed, that your debt to income ratios haven't changed. So when you go and buy up all that stuff and you max out your cards, or you go and spend all the money in your bank account and don't have money for closing, it presents a huge problem. And so now you're looking to close on a new home, and a lot of times it's not going to happen if you've spent the money or if you've changed your debt to income ratio. So just calm down. If you want to buy a new car, do it after you close on the house. Don't do it during or right before. Make sure that you're staying on your job. I had another case where it wasn't me, it was another realtor. And this was a really, really big transaction in dollar amount. They got to closing. The sellers had already moved out of the house and were on the road. They were moving to another state. The guy who's buying the house gets to closing and tells them he quit his job yesterday. Who do you think is going to loan money to you if you just quit your job, which means you probably don't have a way to pay the mortgage? Nobody. So, needless to say, that deal didn't happen. So, live your everyday life, but just don't make any major moves, not before you at least call your lender or call your realtor. Okay. So, make sure that you stay on top of that. Now, once you're under contract, and like I said, you're in the option period, you're going to order your inspections. You need a home inspection, and dependent on the type of loan you get, which there's different types of loans. The major ones are FHA, VA, and conventional. Okay. Now, are there others? Yes. But these are the main ones. If you're going FHA or you're going VA, you also have to have a pest inspection. So when you're calling the inspectors, which I talked to an inspector last week, was it last week, the show we had, where I had one of the inspectors on? Like we talked to him, some inspectors will offer the pest inspection included or for a little bit of a charge, or some inspectors don't offer that at all, and you have to order the pest inspection separately. So make sure you're asking. Now, you can have a pest inspection with a conventional loan, it's just not required. Okay. And then once they go out and do the inspection, they're going to send back an inspection report. For the inspection, you do not have to be there. However, I do advise you to be there because they're going to walk through the entire property with you and show you a lot of things. Um, there may be shutoff valves and things you need to locate, in case of emergency. If there's certain issues with the house, they're going to point out and kind of explain. So when we come back and start reviewing the inspection report, you'll have an idea of whether this issue is something important or whether it's something that maybe you can take care of yourself later. Okay. Because once we start asking for repairs, especially on an existing home, the older the home is, you're probably going to have more things on the inspection report. Some things will be grandfathered in. As time change, so does regulations. So some items may just be due to the age of the house. So when we're asking for repairs, you don't really want to be too nitpicky. Like if there's just little cosmetic things that you can fix later, then do that. Because what happens is if you ask for a laundry list this long of items to be repaired, the seller is going to get real turned off real quick. And then they're going to think that you're just being petty and nitpicky, and they're going to put up a wall. Okay. So we try to ask for things that are definitely safety related or things that are major issues. Now, if the inspector sees like issues with the roof or with the foundation, they're going to point that out. And what you want to do is try to get a structural engineer to come out and look at those items. And then the structural engineer will determine whether there's real foundation issues that need to be repaired, or whether there's real roof issues that need to be resolved as well. Okay. The other thing is once you're under contract, you need to start shopping for homeowners insurance. And I always tell people I recommend shopping at least 3 different companies for homeowners insurance. If you are with a company already for, say, your auto insurance, you can always ask them about bundling those things up to give you a discount. But you will need homeowners insurance, and that's something you do need to shop for while you're under contract, because they are going to send, whoever you decide to go with, they're going to send an insurance binder to the lender before we can close. Okay. So make sure you're shopping for your homeowners insurance as well. And then along with those seller's disclosures I told you about, if the house is located in a homeowners association, There's going to be homeowners association documents that you need to look over, resale certificates. So if you're in a homeowners association, just know that you need to review those documents as well. Um, your lender is going to order your appraisal. This is another cost that you're going to have up front, and it's non-refundable. The appraisal is going to run you about $450. So be on the lookout for that cost as well. The appraiser will go out, actually appraise the property, and let the lender know if it meets the sales price, because a lender will not lend over what a property appraises for. Okay. So if there's a difference, especially we see now with the market the way it is, with people offering way over asking price, let's say there's a gap in there and the property does not appraise for what the buyer may have offered to be able to win the property, that buyer is going to have to make up the difference. If not, then the seller will have to come down on the price of the home. Now, if the buyer is willing to make up that difference, then there's a form in the contract. It's called, Lord, at the moment I can't think of it, but there's a form that basically says that you as the buyer are willing to make up the difference in there. If you're not willing to make up the difference, then that seller would have to come down on the price to meet the appraised value, or they would have to let you out of the contract and return your earnest money. Okay. So the other thing is you want to make sure that right before closing that you are transferring your utilities, because the previous owner is going to cut off the utilities and you don't want to be in a time where you don't have utilities in your new home. If you ask for a home warranty, or if you're going to buy a home warranty, that's something that will be done before closing. A lot of times your realtor will go ahead and order that for you. Your home warranty is going to cover things in your house, like if something goes wrong with the electrical, or if something goes wrong with the plumbing or appliances. That home warranty is going to cover those items for up to a year or a year's time. If you want to continue it after that year, then you can pay for it again. And they're really not that expensive. But with the home warranty, if something goes wrong, they're going to charge you a call out fee. Normally that call out fee is anywhere between $60 and $80. But whatever the issue is, they'll either repair it or replace it. So it's sometimes good to have. The last thing that you're going to do before closing is a final walkthrough of the property. And this is where you're going to go through and make sure that the property is in the condition that it was when you signed, that any repairs that you all negotiated have been done. Now, I do recommend that you get whoever your inspector is to go back out once repairs are done to make sure that they were done properly, okay? But when you're going through the walkthrough, you can take a look at, all of these things as well. You also want to make sure, which your realtor should make sure, that whatever repairs they had done, that they did provide receipts or invoices so that you can see who did the repairs and that they were completed. Okay. So that gives you the assurance of knowing that the work was done. The final walkthrough is normally conducted 24 to 48 hours before closing. And that way we make sure that, it's as close as possible to closing and that nothing has changed. Okay. The sellers do need to be out of the property before closing. If not, this sometimes can create a situation unless they are doing a lease back. And that basically means that they have agreed to sign a temporary lease, giving them a certain number of days after closing that they have to be able to move out of the property. Okay. And that's totally up to you whether you allow them to do a lease back or not. Some people do it, some people don't. Some people charge for it and some people don't. So that's something you definitely can discuss with your realtor. Now, on closing, on the contract, we have a closing date. That is really a flexible date because it can be moved up or it can be pushed back depending on if your lender has given a clear to close and all the documents are in, underwriting has given the okay. So that date is a little bit flexible. Um, Normally, the final closing date is not confirmed until maybe two to 3 days before the actual date. So once we have confirmed a closing date, that means underwriting has completely signed off on everything. They've sent the documents to the title company. Title company has worked up what's called a settlement statement. You'll receive a copy of that as well. And the settlement statement basically has all of the numbers on there. So it's going to tell you how much you're paying for the property, how much your loan is for. It's going to detail all the different costs that you've spent, your earnest money, your option fee, your taxes, your insurance, your escrows. It's going to give you all of those figures on there. And it's going to let you know how much you need to bring to closing. So closing normally only takes at most maybe an hour unless there's just really extenuating circumstances. Okay. What you need to bring to closing is a valid driver's license, whoever is signing, valid driver's license. If you don't have that, passport. Or you can call the title company and they can tell you what all you can use. You'll also need to bring whatever funds to closing. So your final closing costs, that'll be on your settlement statement. Your lender and your realtor will probably let you know exactly how much you need to bring to closing. And that needs to be done either in a cashier's check or by wire. Wire fraud has gotten really bad. So if you get a call or email or whatever saying, hey, wire this amount of money to this, don't do it until you have verified that with the title company or with your realtor. Okay. So the easiest way is just get a cashier's check and bring it to closing. But if you want to do a wire, make sure you are verifying that information. Okay. Also, who needs to attend? Anyone who's on the contract that will be signing needs to attend. Now, sometimes there are cases where people, let's say a husband and wife, only the husband is on the loan, but Texas is a community property state, so the wife will need to sign too. If there's someone that cannot be present, let's say it's an estate and you have a number of siblings, one of the siblings is in the hospital sick, one of the other siblings will need to get power of attorney for that sibling. So if you're signing for someone else through power of attorney, you need to also bring an original copy of that power of attorney to closing with you. And then another question that I get is when will I get my keys? That's the most exciting part. So you won't get the keys to the property until it actually funds. What I mean by that is the buyer and seller have both signed. The lender has actually reviewed all of the documents, sent the money, and said, okay, we're funded. All right. Once the deal is funded, then you can get your keys. Funding sometimes happens like that in a matter of minutes. Funding sometimes may take up to the next day. So just talk to your realtor and to your lender, and they'll let you know when you can expect that to happen. Finally, the other thing I talk to my clients about is your homestead exemption. In the state of Texas, you can file a homestead exemption on your primary residence. However, you can only file it beginning January 1st after you have bought your property. So make sure that when January 1st rolls around, you are filing your homestead exemption. If you receive something in the mail saying, hey, you can pay us $50, we'll file your homestead exemption for you, don't do it. It does not cost you a dime to file homestead exemption. You can go on to the county appraisal district's website and file it, or you can go into their office and file it, okay? But you only have a few months to file it. So you need to make sure when January 1st rolls around and you've bought a home, you need to go ahead and file your homestead exemption, okay? And then the other thing is, if you've sold a house, if you're buying a new house and you've sold a house, you'll get an escrow refund from your previous mortgage holder. Escrows is like where your taxes and insurance are put into basically sort of a savings account. And then they pull out of that account to pay your taxes and insurance during the year. Well, when you sell a house, most of the time you still have money in that account. So you don't want to just leave that money there. It needs to get refunded back to you. So make sure you contact your previous mortgage company, let them know your updated address. And that way they can send you a check for those escrow funds that were remaining in that account. Normally it takes them maybe 4 to 8 weeks to get that done. So go ahead and give them that information. You also want to update your address on your driver's license, and also update your address, your mailing address. And normally it takes 7 days to start forwarding mail. So you want to go ahead and do that probably before you close. So that way you don't have a gap in your mail going here and there and everywhere. So that is a lot of the main things with buying a house. Let's see. I think that's about it. I tried to give you a brief overview. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me. I tell people my advice is free. You can pick my brain. I do not mind. If you have questions about buying and selling, I cover the greater Houston area as well as all of Southeast Texas, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Nederland, Groves. I have an actual team. So some of my team members live in Southeast Texas area. Some of them live in greater Houston area. So we are more than equipped to handle and help you along the way. So you can always reach us at 281-892-1332. Or if you're in Southeast Texas, 409-276-SOLD. I didn't receive any other questions, so you're always welcome to visit my website, Sold by Shani, SOLD by BYSHANI, and you can also view properties there. So I hope this video really helps someone. Feel free to reach out to me if you need to, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.